Manchester City 3, Brighton 1. Haaland with another brace. 17 down, 16 to go until he breaks Mo Salah's record. KDB with the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake to give City the win, to give Pep Guardiola the 3 points. They close the gap to 1 now with Arsenal. Sensational in-form, title challenging Arsenal. They close that gap. A bit of pressure now and jeopardy in that game tomorrow afternoon as well. But I want your instant thoughts. I want your reactions. I want to know what you're thinking and you are feeling. I'm hearing people say robot. I thought you meant my sound like a robot. No, you're talking about Haaland. The man. I've run out of things to say. I've been proven right in every level. Best finisher that Europe has produced in my lifetime. Arguably the best finisher Europe has ever produced at 22 years of age. More league goals at this age of his career than anyone you can name to me post World War II, whether it's R9, whether it's Lewandowski, Ronaldo, Messi, Rude, Romario, the lot. Del Piero, Inzaghi, Shearer, Kane. This guy is absolutely clear. And KDB, another match-winning performance from him. Another game where I feel he's already, for me, in my top 5 Premier League midfielders of all time. Is he on his way? Is he building up a legacy to become number 1? I would say absolutely yes, building it. Still got a long way to go. Paul Scholes, the amount of Premier Leagues, 2 Champions Leagues, domestic trophies, a long, long way for him to go to claim that number 1 spot. The universally accepted best midfielder of all time in the Premier League. Paul Scholes, of course, you've got Lampard on that list as well, amongst others. But another sensational performance from him today, no doubt about it. KDB is elite, is what the Arsenal blueprint says here. And they are elite. And I thought what was interesting today is that they put the game to bed in the first half, City. And Brighton didn't really cause them too many problems in that first period, in my opinion. The penalty, absolute stonewaller. Saw the first replay and thought, no way. It's just a coming together of legs. You see the reverse replay and made me think, why did it take nearly 3 minutes for the game to be stopped, for the referee to go and take a look? But at 2-0, it was done and dusted. And Brighton did come out and they gave City, they gave them a few problems in that second half. I don't think you can deny that or get away from it in any way, shape or form. But as soon as they needed to put their foot back on that gas, Manchester City were able to do it. They were then able to take off the likes of Haaland to give him that rest time as well. And listen, City are going to be pushed hard this year by Arsenal. There's no doubt about it. I don't think anybody else right now is seen as good enough to push them other than Arsenal Football Club. But that's why today is why they are everybody's favourites, I believe. And as we know, Haaland's going to break not just Mo Salah's record. I think he's going to set a record this season that only himself in the near future is going to be able to beat. And maybe in the history of the Premier League, no one is going to score like him, because in 70, 80, 90 years of football, no one else has been as good as him at 22. So the likelihood of it happening again in my lifetime is very, very slim indeed. Let's take a look at some of your comments coming through here. Yeah, the KDB goal. The KDB's goal was sensational. Unstoppable. I don't think any goalkeeper I don't think 2 goalkeepers in goal at the same time are saving that. And it rounded up a resounding victory for City. Trossard needs a big move. Yeah, look, Trossard was very good. Look, Brighton are always good. Technically, they're always good. They move the ball well. They pass the ball well. But what's the word I'm looking for here? They still need more. They need more killers. They need more clinical players. But Trossard getting a move to a big team. January, Chelsea. Looking at man like David's over here. I think that's where he might end up. He might end up going to play for Potter. This comment here from Blue Moon says, Brighton looked a great team. Fantastic result. They bossed most of the second half. They did, and I think that was probably frustrating Pep a little bit to a degree. But at the same time, City were playing within themselves, and I think that encouraged Brighton. But you went and got that third goal, and you absolutely put it to bed. Terry, thoughts on Edison? I'm going to quote KJ here. In fact, I can go to KJ, can't I?
Yes, you can. KJ Cam is live. And I'm pretty sure everyone can hear me as well. Wonderful. Right, listen. This Edison brother is not a goalkeeper. He is a midfielder who plays in goal. How can you go from, Terry, doing a long ball assist to Haaland and then getting beat the way that he gets beat. It doesn't make sense. Actually, it does make sense because that's what happens when you take an outfield player, put goals on their put goalie gloves on their hands and stick them in nets. That's the only way I can describe it. We were talking about Alisson earlier today in the Forest game, and how he's world class, how he's an amazing goalkeeper. And we had a discussion before about in the group chat about top 5 goalkeepers in the Premier League. Even though Ederson on paper will have like 4, 5, maybe even 6, go on to have many Premier League titles, you can't add him into the top PL goalkeepers of all time. I personally don't think you can, because his fundamental goalkeeping lets him so down. Yes, he can get great assists and he can play the ball nicely. Like, he's probably better passing than like half the Premier League midfielders in the league. But as a goalkeeper, I don't think he's in that discussion, because he just cannot do the simple things of a goalkeeper.
Yeah, look, I think with Ederson, he's a very, very, very good goalkeeper in terms of shot stopping and everything else. He's very good, but I don't think he's a world-class goalkeeper in terms of stopping shots, and that's a problem. Unless you're at City. City don't concede enough chances regularly enough throughout the course of the season for it to cost them, because they're a very, very good team. If you put a goalie like Ederson into a Tottenham team with the amount of goals and shots, attempts on goal and shots they concede, you're going to have a problem. So I think City are okay. City need his distribution for how they play, and he's probably the best at that. Him and Alisson, they're neck and neck in relation to that. But in terms of shot stopping, Alisson leaves him for dead. So that's why I have Alisson as number 1. Ederson's still probably in the top 5 in the Premier League overall, but he gets beat at that near post a little too often. However, it's not as though City are getting peppered on a regular basis, so it ends up becoming a little bit less of a problem, I think.
Yeah, it works for City.
That save when Trossard was through, though, KJ.
Yeah, like, I'm not. He does it occasionally. Yeah, like people saying about last week with or last game against Salah. Like, yeah, but how many times can we list the shots that he's conceded multiple times and he's lost them? It's not just like, he conceded the shot and they've gone and win the game. Like, they've lost games because Ederson can't save goals. Like the Manchester derby a couple of years ago, we won 2-0. One of them was Martial's weaker foot, and it just flops into the goal because his hands are weak. Like, in my eyes, I can't see him as like one of the best right now. Like, yeah, because he works in the system in the Prem right now, is one of the better goalkeepers. But you're talking about overall in the Premier League history, he ain't top 5.
No, I get that. And look, there is a comment from a City fan here. I want to put this up. It says, guys, you're clutching at straws. And I suppose it will come across that way. I think it's a fair challenge. Someone asked a question, though, about Ederson. And I think that Ederson, as part of this City team, collectively, you're world class. Him as an individual, that's his weakness. And if we're talking about, is he the best goalkeeper because of that weakness? No. But he's brilliant for you. And in your system with your team, he's going to be absolutely fine. There's no problems there. You know, if Pep leaves in 2 years' time, and suddenly the new manager isn't as good, and the games are in a far more competitive on a more regular basis, maybe leaking goals like today becomes. And this is what I'll say to City fans: there was a time where Liverpool supporters didn't care that Firmino wasn't scoring goals, because Mane and Salah and some others in the team were picking up the slack and scoring additional goals than everybody expected. As soon as their goals dried up a bit, suddenly Firmino goals become an issue. So if Pep leaves in 2 years and Ederson stays, which he most likely will, and suddenly you're conceding 5, 6, 7 more chances per game against you, and you're leaking 7, 8, 9 of these goals a season, that is when you'll see City fans say we've got a problem there. However, in the sense of things right now, literally it's the only weakness in your team.
Yeah, you can get away with Ederson in your nets because he is made to be a midfielder in your system. He's a deep lying playmaker, bruv. You know what I mean? That's what he is. He just happens to have goalkeeper gloves on his hands. For Man City, great. As soon as Pep goes and the system changes, I think you will start to be questioning Ederson about, why can't he do normal goalkeeper things? You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you on that. And we have another comment here that says, Haaland got pocketed by VVD twice. He's a tap-in merchant, and Aguero is much better than him in every department apart from numbers. I mean, that is the most important department, is the numbers when you're a striker and you influence the games. Now, yeah, look, he hasn't had a couple of good games against Liverpool, but I remember once upon a time, people didn't doubt Messi, but people were like, yeah, but he doesn't really do that well against the English teams. That was 3, 4, 5 years into the Messi hype. And then suddenly scored against United in a Champions League final and hasn't looked back. There was a time where Ronaldo was on his way to being the best player in the world back in the late noughties when he was at Man United. And it was, yeah, but he doesn't score enough in the Champions League. That's now laughable. There was a time where they said he doesn't score enough in the big games. That's now laughable. What does he do at the clutch moments? That's now laughable. So I think with Haaland, the fact that people are saying he's a tapping merchant because he hasn't had good games against Van Dijk in his first 2 attempts at 22 years of age, you are clutching at straws. You are going too far. No striker, if tap-ins were as easy as you're making them sound, like he's not even that good because he just scores tap-ins, then why haven't more strikers scored this many goals at this stage of their careers? You can then throw back in, before you even say it, you'll go, but Bundesliga tax and the Austrian Bundesliga tax and Norway tax. Cool. Then why are other strikers in those leagues not scoring tap-ins with this level of frequency? They're not, because it is a skill unique to a handful of strikers in the last 100 years of football to find the space and have the intelligence to read the game. And that's often a skill that people don't really take that seriously, but it's one you should. The fact that Haaland's got the better of him on a couple of occasions means very little in the grand scheme of Haaland's career.
Yeah, on Haaland, yeah. I think one of the reasons why people don't like him is because the goal that he scored today, that weren't pretty. That was ugly. Chasing after a long ball, and then absolutely pelting a defender to the floor to get the ball. That is old school, traditional number 9 play. People feel like we've moved past that now, and you need to be doing some kind of silky way. Like they wanted him to trap the ball, take the defender on, floor him that way, and then score the goal. Then they'll be happy. But because he was brutish, which, by the way, I love a bit of PMP. PMP is the way forward. They just don't like that.
Yeah, of course. People, it doesn't meet everybody's preferences. You know, there is Luciano Pavarotti is one of the greatest artists of all time, musical artists of all time. I wouldn't sit and listen to his album because I'm not into opera in that way, but I know he's brilliant at what he did. This is where football fans are, when people say about comedians, Kevin Hart's not funny. No, you mean you don't find Kevin Hart funny. That doesn't mean he isn't funny or isn't a brilliant comedian. People allow their preferences to become a statement of fact. Your preference is never a fact. And I think that's what the issue here lies, is that people don't like Haaland for one reason or another, so they try to diminish his achievements. That's ridiculous. Whether you like the Beatles or not, you can't deny the fact they're the biggest selling artists of all time. You don't have to like them for them still to be the legends of legends of legends within the music industry. And the same works with a striker. He doesn't do it the way you want. That doesn't mean he isn't good. That's my pushback. And my response is, get out of that one, Perry. The phrase tapping merchant is brain dead, less than nonsense, bro. Oh, it is. I mean, the phrase tapping merchants is probably, it's existed for a while. It's pushed by football hipsters, eye test merchants, and tacticos, and they're all kind of one and the same. These people that make football sound more complicated than it is, more technical than it is, more scientific than it really is. I'm talking about the tactics of the game, not the sports science that goes into the physical makeup of players. They try and make football sound really intellectual, like you need to have a PhD to understand it. Football isn't that difficult. Haaland is world-class at what he does. This notion of, but he's not a good footballer, it means nothing, because 10 people could tell you what makes a good 10 people could give you 10 different descriptions of what makes a footballer a top-class footballer. Therefore, it's preference, not fact. So it's nonsensical in that way, as I've scored Lee Gunner on many times recently. Arsenal will win the league if they're still top by January, and Arteta gets the back in by the board in January to get a top DM and winger, is what Prince Will has got to say here. Thank you very much for that super chat. But there we go. Listen, people, a very short match reaction to that game today. We are live after Chelsea versus Manchester United, so make sure you're all back. Going to be joined by Jessica Black. David's already here in the studio getting ready. He's eating my Pringles. I think he's eating all my Pringles, to be fair. I've been staring at that box throughout this whole stream, seeing them slowly dwindle away. So we're on...
Terry, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Listen, the game's about to start. We've got like 15 minutes here. How are you feeling? You got to tell the people how you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I can't watch Man United without being nervous. I'm very nervous, but I am excited for the game as well. It's one of those where if you lose, I'm going to be annoyed. But... I'm exceedingly happy if we win. So very, very nervous. And make sure you come back and join us. So I did have a comment I wanted to read. Here. It says, a schooled league gunner. Terry, it's amazing how your ego is huge and you are scared to be wrong. I'm not scared to be wrong. Otherwise, I wouldn't give big, bold opinions. And me saying a schooled league gunner is actually sarcasm and a joke. Therefore, you've got the wrong end of the stick, my friend.
To be fair, Terry, you do like to be scared. Like that's one of your things now.
Listen, I don't care what anyone says online. In the build up to these big games, everybody has an element of fear in them, and I'm fearing that the development of Chelsea Football Club and the direction and trajectory of Arsenal, and so far of Arsenal, we've been proven right. Chelsea's a much more longer term thing, and I stand by it. But they're the only two teams that I've said I'm scared of. People keep saying I'm scared of everyone. I'm not. Like, I'm scared of playing teams in the moment. Who wouldn't be? I certainly am, and it's how I am anyway. But there we go. You can never be wrong. Well, that's not true, because even in the videos I've said where I've been praising Arsenal this year, I've said multiple times that I got it wrong about Arteta. So the you're wrong. Because I've done videos that are literally apologizing for things I'm wrong about. So
you literally said we'll beat Man City. And we did not.
Yeah. And then I literally took the L. But my friend, you're only trolling. I know you love me. People like yourself, you watch all my streams, follow all my accounts. You know, you love me. And you obviously want some attention from me today. So there it is for you, my friend. People, listen, we're back in a couple of hours' time. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.